All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Keith Thurman and what he had to say about a fight with Jaron Ennis. Good news, bad news, but let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We are in the 147-pound division talking about Jaron Boots Ennis and Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman just had a recent interview with the PBC, said a lot of very interesting things. But before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing to the for watching the video. Please accept my invitation to subscribe and hit the bell icon. We have regular videos every day, live streams every day, talking about boxing, great conversations I think you'll really enjoy. If you are a longtime subscriber or supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your ongoing support. Make sure you hit that share and that like button before you leave. But let's get into this. A lot of speculation over the last year about what is next for two of the best fighters in the welterweight division. One is a former former unified champion in the division, Keith "one-time" Thurman. The former the former WBA super and WBC champion, and Jaron Boots Ennis, who is a contender. I don't think he's a prospect anymore. Contender who is in the top 5, is ranked in the top 5 of every major sanctioning body in boxing: the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO, and one of the most talented and electric young fighters that there is in the entire sport of boxing. Somebody that definitely looks like he is ready to go in a championship position, and is just waiting on his opportunity to prove what a lot of people believe about him, including myself. Jaron Ennis, to me, I think it's a very good chance that he's the most talented young fighter in all of boxing, and very well may, at the end of the day, prove to be the best fighter in the sport. Out of Philadelphia, the kid can pretty much do everything. Big, strong, fast, very, very athletic, very skilled, offensively, defensively, switches from offense to defense very, very well. Just an all-around terrific fighter. Keith Thurman, who also, in my opinion, is a very, very good fighter. Somebody that is being underrated right now. And as far as fighters in the welterweight division, I believe that Keith Thurman is the most underrated fighter in that division. He is somebody that is a legitimate top-level fighter. And if he is allowed to have a series of fights and not take really long breaks, I think you may find that he is able to beat people that you may not believe he's able to beat. However, it doesn't appear that we're going to get an opportunity to see that because of the way that the division is panning out. Now, Keith Thurman says that he wants a championship fight, and was actually saying about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford that these guys are holding up all the belts, right? Talking about fighting each other. Some people think that means that Keith Thurman thinks that they're bad for the welterweight division. I personally think that what he's saying is, look, dude, hurry up and make that fight. So if you're gonna fight, I can get my shot at a belt. Right? That's not unreasonable. That is, what's he supposed to do? He's not in the business of boxing for what other fighters are doing. He's in the business of boxing in order for him to get championship shots. And that's just what anybody in his situation would do, right? However, seeing as he's not about to get those fights, because Errol Spence said that if he beats Terrence Crawford, he's moving up to 154 pounds. Terrence Crawford said if he beats Errol Spence Jr., he wants to move up to 154 pounds, right? So, all right, though in either one of those scenarios, neither one of those scenarios are you going to wind up having a fight with Keith Thurman. So what is Keith Thurman going to do? Many people say, hey, look, well, perfect fight for Keith Thurman, or the perfect fight for Jaron Ennis would be Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was asked about that in the interview with the Premier Boxing Champions and ran past it like a running back. I mean, like, man, he saw a hole and ran as far away from that question as he possibly could. But in short, this is what the man says. He's like, look, I'm going up to, if I cannot get a shot against a championship shot or against one of those guys like that, I'm going to go up to 154 pounds and campaign at 154 pounds, right? And did not directly say whether or not he was going to fight Jaron Ennis or not, and completely ducked the question. So what that means is that Keith Thurman is going to duck that fight, is not going to fight Jaron Ennis, and would rather move up to 154 pounds instead of doing that. Now, for me, for Jaron Ennis, hey man, or yeah, not for me, but for Jaron Ennis, that is, that's a testament to that man, to what that man is bringing to the table. That all of these guys and I mean all of them. Keith Thurman isn't the only one saying that he's not fighting Jaron. Terrence Crawford's not trying to fight Jaron. Errol Spence Jr. is not trying to fight Jaron. Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, when he was talked about it before that, is not trying to fight Jaron Ennis. The only people that I hear talking about fighting Jaron Ennis is like Speedy Rashidi Ellis, who says, hey man, I'm gonna, I don't even know what he said about. I think he said something about he's not gonna go 6 rounds or something like that. So Jaron Ennis is going to find himself, the situation he's going to find himself in is being somebody that is going to fight for a vacant belt and more than likely win a vacant belt. And then the conversation is going to be about unification of those belts. And what we're probably going to see when we talk about the unification of the belts is that it'll be very difficult for him to do that, because one of the people that are more than likely going to get that belt is going to be Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is with Golden Boy. Virgil Ortiz is more than likely not going to fight Jaron Ennis because Oscar De La Hoya is going to come up with something like, oh, we need to do it on DAZN. Or they're going to say, well, we got to wait around for that to be a pay-per-view fight, right? But I think what Jaron should do is he should just stay that route. Stay at 147 pounds, get that belt, as the belts come available, get the belts that are available. If one of them winds up being over there at Golden Boy or one winds up being at Top Rank, just stay there, because at the end of the day, everybody's going to know that he's the best guy in that division, and the boxing conversations are going to be around when are those guys going to fight him. As long as Showtime supports him, builds him, right, gets him to, he'll be on pay-per-views before too long. If he's able to get that type of notoriety and press that Gervonta Davis got, he'll be just fine, which is one of the reasons I think it may be smart for him to sign with Floyd Mayweather Jr., deal with Leonard Ellerbe and those guys that really do know how to build a fighter. Cameron Duncan is his promoter now, so I know that he would not want to get into some big issue about switching. Right? Big issue, switching out of that circumstance. But to work with Floyd Mayweather Jr., man, that's probably the best route that he could take, man, because those guys are proven that with a guy with that level of talent that they know what to do with him. I'm not sure if anybody else is going to be able to get him that name recognition and have him out there. Shoot, he may be able to fight on the undercard of the Conor McGregor of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. Conor McGregor fight. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section, and with that, I'm out. Peace.